Hi there. Remember, we started the story of the enormous crocodile, and the enormous crocodile had met the elephant and had told him, "I'm off to find a yummy child for lunch. Keep listening and you'll hear the bones go crunch." And then he'd met the roly-poly bird and he'd snapped off his feathers. Okay, here we go. At last, the enormous crocodile came out of the other side of the jungle into the sunshine. He could see the town not far away. "Ho, ho," he said aloud to himself. "Ha, ha! This walk through the jungle has made me hungrier than ever. One child isn't going to be nearly enough for me today. I won't be full up until I've eaten at least 3 juicy little children." He started to creep forward towards the town. The enormous crocodile crept over to a place where there were a lot of coconut trees. He knew that the children from the town often came here to look for coconuts. The trees were too tall for them to climb, but there was always some coconuts on the ground that had fallen down. The enormous crocodile quickly collected all the coconuts that were lying on the ground. He also gathered together several fallen branches. "Now for clever trick number 1, he whispered to himself. "It won't be long before I am eating the first part of my lunch." He took all the coconut branches and held them between his teeth. He grasped the coconuts in front of his paws. Then he stood up straight in the air, balancing himself on his tail. He arranged the branches and the coconuts so cleverly that he now looked exactly like a small coconut tree standing among the big coconut trees. Soon some children came along. They were brother and sister. The boy was called Toto, his sister was called Mary. They walked around looking for fallen coconuts, but they couldn't find any because the enormous crocodile had gathered them all up. "Oh, look," cried Toto. "That tree over there is much smaller than the others and it's full of coconuts. I think I could climb that one quite easily if you help me up the first bit." Toto and Mary ran towards what they thought was a small coconut tree. The enormous crocodile peered through the branches, watching them as they came closer and closer. He licked his lips. He began to dribble with excitement. Suddenly there was a tremendous whooshing noise. It was Humpty Dumpty the hippopotamus. He came crashing and snorting out of the jungle. His head was down low and he was galloping at a terrific speed. "Look out, Toto!" shouted Humpty Dumpty. "Look out, Mary! That's not a coconut tree. It's the enormous crocodile and he wants to eat you up." Humpty Dumpty charged straight at the enormous crocodile. He caught him with his giant head and sent him tumbling and skidding over the ground. "Owie!" cried the crocodile. "Help! Stop! Where am I?" Toto and Mary ran back to the town as fast as they could. But crocodiles are tough. It's difficult for even a hippopotamus to hurt them. The enormous crocodile picked himself up and crept towards the place where the children's playground was. "Now for clever trick number 2, he said to himself. "This one is certain to work." There were no children in the playground at that moment. They were all in school. The enormous crocodile found a large piece of wood and placed it in the middle of the playground. Then he lay across the piece of wood and tucked in his feet so that he looked almost like a seesaw. When school was over, the children all came running out onto the playground. "Oh, look!" they cried. "We've got a new seesaw." They all crowded round, shouting with excitement. "Bags, I have the first go. I'll get on the other end. I want to go first. So do I. So do I." Then a girl who was older than the others said, It's rather a funny, knobbly sort of seesaw, isn't it? Do you think it'll be safe to sit on? Of course it will, the other said. It looks strong as anything. The enormous crocodile opened one eye just a tiny bit and watched the children who were crowding around him. Soon, he thought, one of them is going to sit on my head, then I will give a jerk and a snap, and that will be yum, yum, yum. At that moment, there was a flash of brown and something jumped into the playground and hopped up to the top of the swings. It was Mugglewump the monkey. Run! Mugglewump shouted to the children. All of you, run, run, run! That's not a seesaw. It's the enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you up. The children screamed and ran for their lives. Mugglewump disappeared back into the jungle. And the enormous crocodile... Hi there. I'm going to start to read you the story of the enormous crocodile by Roald Dahl. In the biggest, browniest, muddiest river in Africa, 2 crocodiles lay with their heads just above the water. One of the crocodiles was enormous. The other was not so big. Do you know what I would like for my lunch today? The enormous crocodile asked. No, the not-so-big one said. What? The enormous crocodile grinned, showing hundreds of sharp white teeth. For my lunch today, he said, I would like a nice, juicy little child. I never eat children, the not-so-big one said. Only fish. Ho, 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 cried the enormous crocodile. I bet if you saw a fat, juicy little child paddling in the water over there at this very moment, you'd gulp him up in one gulp. No, I wouldn't, the not-so-big one said. Children are too tough and chewy. They're tough and chewy and nasty and bitter. Tough and chewy, cried the enormous crocodile. Nasty and bitter? What awful tommy rot you talk. They are juicy and yummy. They taste so bitter, the not-so-big one said, you have to cover them with sugar before you can eat them. Children are bigger than fish, the enormous crocodile said. You get bigger helpings. You are greedy, the not-so-big one said. You're the greediest croc in the whole river. I'm the bravest croc in the whole river, said the enormous crocodile. I'm the only one who dares to leave the water and go through the jungle to the town to look for little children to eat. You've only done that once, snorted the not-so-big one. And what happened then? They all saw you coming and ran away. Ah, but today when I go, they won't see me at all, said the enormous crocodile. Of course they'll see you, the not-so-big one said. You're so enormous and ugly, they'd see you from miles away. The enormous crocodile grinned again, and his terrible sharp teeth sparkled like knives in the sun. Nobody will see me, he said, because this time I've thought up a secret plans and clever tricks. Clever tricks? Cried the not-so-big one. You've never done anything clever in your life. You're the stupidest croc on the whole river. I'm the cleverest croc on the whole river, the enormous crocodile answered. For my lunch today, I shall feast upon fat, juicy little children while you lie here in the river feeling hungry. Goodbye. The enormous crocodile swam to the side of the river and crawled out of the water. A gigantic creature was standing in the slimy, oozy mud on the riverbank. It was Humpty Rumpty the hippopotamus. Hello, hello, said Humpty Rumpty. Where on earth are you off to at this time of day? I have a secret plan and a clever trick, said the crocodile. Oh dear, said Humpty Dumpty. I bet you're going to do something horrid. The enormous crocodile grinned at Humpty Dumpty and said, I'm going to fill my hungry, empty tummy with something yummy, 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 yummy. What's so yummy? Asked Humpty Dumpty. Try to guess, said the crocodile. It's something that walks on two legs. You don't mean, said Humpty Dumpty, you don't really mean you're going to eat a little child? Of course I am, said the crocodile. Oh, you horrid, greedy, grumptious brute, cried the Humpty Dumpty. I hope you get cooked and caught and cooked and turned into crocodile soup. The enormous crocodile laughed out loud at Humpty Dumpty. Then he waddled off into the jungle. Inside the jungle, he met Trunky the elephant. Trunky was nibbling leaves from the top of a tall tree, and he didn't notice the crocodile at first, so the crocodile bit him on the leg. Ow! Said Trunky in his big, deep voice. Who did that? Oh, it's you, is it, you beastly crocodile? Why don't you go back to the big brown muddy river where you belong? I have secret plans and clever tricks, said the crocodile. You mean you've nasty plans and nasty tricks, said Trunky. You've never done a nice thing in your life. The enormous crocodile grinned up at Trunky and said, I'm off to find a yummy child for lunch. Keep listening and you'll hear the bones go crunch. Oh, you wicked, beastly beast, said Trunky. Oh, you foul and filthy fiend.